Hello, everyone. Um, so we're gonna start off with this position. It's game as sometimes I've shown before, but it's a good introduction to this topic, power of intermediate moves. We're gonna start with some easier examples, and we're gonna move closer. And then as we go along, we're gonna move on to more difficult ones. So, well, actually, this one is fairly difficult in its own way. Um, what should white play in this position? Here he missed the chance to kind of like get an advantage. So it's white to move. By the way, congrats to Vihan Jain for I think I read winning a North American, yeah? Uh, uh, oh, it was second. Oh, um, well, either way, yeah, it's like maybe I didn't read it correctly, but mhm. Mm. Um, okay, so anyway, so it's white to move. So what would you recommend with white here? A lot of people are saying d takes e4, which in fact it's f takes e4. That's why it shouldn't just be copying off of each other, yeah? Uh, because okay, it reminds me of a strange story when I was a kid in school, and not in chess class, just in school. The way one of the teachers realized that like you know, I think like I allowed one of my other students to copy off of me, and we both misspelled the word the same way, and that's how uh, the teacher caught both of us and deducted some points for that. So just you know, it's something you don't wanna do, yeah. It's especially if it ends up being a wrong answer or a wrong coordinates. It's like easy to catch. So um encourage all of you to think for yourself. But anyway, um I guess it's not completely red-handed, but it's like strong evidence. Um so a lot of people are saying f takes e4, which is correct. Um but you kind of need to see more than that because clearly everyone I mean we both probably thought I know I remember I thought I could take the rook. Because okay, if you simply take here, white goes there, this is sort of a better version for white because this is weak, right? So if I have to take on e4, I'm probably going to be a bit worse. But I think the reason he didn't take most likely was because he thought this, and it looks like black is okay. However, here white has a strong idea here, which is what? Yeah, so e5 actually 94 is okay for blank. But there, yeah, there is queen c4. Queen c4 is stronger because you're trying to go queen d4, queen h8, and white's much better here. So that's the key move. Um, Possibly I showed it at some point, yeah, but I still wanted to start with this. Anyway, so the point is that after rook c4 takes rook queen e7, this is where something kind of interesting happened because I played this and I just automatically took on c5, right? Because it seems like the only move. But here, of course, there's once you realize that there's an alternative, you realize you can play rook takes a5. Now, it's not like I'm winning after this, but like I would have like won a pawn and I would have been able to press. It wasn't like a, big missed opportunity, but it was a missed opportunity, right? And who knows, right? Maybe I would have had chance to miss this, especially would have chance to win, especially since it's kind of hard to recover after missing rook takes a5, right? So this prompted me to discuss this topic a bit more because in between moves are missed all the time in chess, right? And there are like simple examples of that. There are harder examples of that, right? So again, we'll start with the simpler ones. We're going to move on to the harder ones. Um, so this position is black to play. Um, what would you recommend with black here? Okay, so this is not so hard, yeah. Queen takes e1, rook takes e1, knight f5, yeah. And then the point being that if rook takes rook, you take here, and then you go rook e1, right? So black is, of course, winning. Um, Knight d1, sorry, which position? Knight d1, knight g3, right? Yeah. Oh, knight d1 for white. Rook takes d1? Yeah, rook takes d1. Okay. The next one. Black to play. Um, what should we do here? Yeah, I'm still prepping for that tournament. Yeah, I'm my first get rounds on Thursday, so I already it's a norm invitational tournament, so I already have some ideas what I'll play in some games, but I think there's only two sections. I mean, there's a GM, there's an IM, and then there's several other sections, I think. There might be, no, sorry, I think there's like one more section. I think it's C. It's a Marshall Chess Club in New York City. How to get invited? Well, it's there's this website, New York City Chess Norms, or if you Google New York City NYC Chess Norms, you'll be able to find the link and the contact information of the organizer. So it's black to move. Yeah, exactly. So we have to play knight g4 first, right? Because if we play knight takes e1 first, we lose here. We win the material, but we get mated. Takes 94. We just get mated here. So we need to first include knight g4 so that they don't take back on f6. And then after this, we play knight takes e1. And then we play knight c2. And then, yeah, here. And this is some messy position. It's like unclear. All right, this one is black to move. Um, what should we play here? So it's black to move. Okay, yeah. Rook f5, yeah, rook f5, rook h5, queen h1, of course. Yes. Okay, like I promised, the first ones will be relatively easy. All right, this one, it's black to play. You're not exactly winning immediately, but there's a way to sort of like get an advantage using an in-between move. What should we play here? Mhm. All right, apparently I tricked you guys with this one. Yeah, it looks like I tricked you guys with this one. Yeah, because if you play knight h3, it seems like it should be knight h3 based on the theme, right? But if you just think about the theme and don't actually calculate, you could miss the point. Now, after queen f5, bishop c2, and queen f4, simply does not work. I go king h3. But the correct idea is to play knight takes e5. And the point is that it's a little awkward for white to play here, right? Like now, black has a lot of threats. And the big point, of course, is that after knight takes e5, we play what? It's a very common King's Indian idea, which, it's a very important one to be aware. Exactly, queen g5, and then we're simply winning in this position. Very common idea with the knight on f4, queen on g2, when the queen's unprotected, right? Very important idea to be aware of. Okay, the next position is this one. To be honest, I don't know, but you could ignore that. I don't know why. I think it's when I saved it in ChessBase, I might have like saved some ICCF game and then like saved in the same format. So I would just ignore that. All right, this is white to move. How should we play? Yeah, it's from Perfect Your Chess. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, we throw in this in between move, b6. We don't, take this knight. We don't move this knight. Instead, we're creative. We look at in between moves, right? And then we simply win here. Okay, now we're gonna skip the student against opponent for now. We're gonna move on to because that one was a little more tricky. We're gonna move on to this one. Now the next two were kind of interesting, where yeah, exactly. Like in the next two examples, the people playing black, they resigned in winning positions, thinking that knight f8, queen f8, king f8, there is rook h8. But in reality, you can play an in-between move, rook e8 first. You think like, what's the point? I'm just going to give up the rook, right? But in reality, then you go knight f8 and you have king e7, right? And now black is winning, right? So you have to, again, always consider in-between move, right? You might think like, how does like throwing away the rook help, right? Spite defense. But you never know, right? You have to be open-minded, right? And you have to yeah, it's Anderson was black, yeah. And imagine, yeah, Anderson was such a great attacking player. But I think actually the reason this happened was because Anderson, was a very proud player, right? He played gambits, he was such a good attacking player. And his opponent announced mate in two. And at that point, when people announced, people sort of like trusted it a little bit, right? Like they kind of respected each other. And he just assumed, yes, it is mate in two. He didn't want to like, like not trust his opponent and like say, well, kind of like claim he wanted to like show, yes, I see your mate in two. I see your combination, right? Yeah, no, in the past, people could announce it. Yeah, that was back in 1800s and maybe early 1900s. Yeah. It's uh it's kind of funny. No, I don't actually do that. Yeah, but yeah, like now of course no one No one does that, but yeah, back in the day, people did that, you know. Um, I don't know. I think if you announce, I think you get disqualified now, yeah. Um, but anyway, there was Rookie 8, Knight of 8, yeah. Uh, okay, and then this one is also pretty famous one, right? Um, this one is yeah, exactly. This, and Black resign, thinking that they lose after the automatic King G8, Queen C8, and it's mate. But of course, there's good old Rook E7, and Black not only survives, but Black's actually winning in this endgame, it turns out, right? Again, a very strong player, you know, resigned, right? So, like, these things could happen, right? Now, there's been a few more examples of that, right? Where, let's say, in between move was missed in some. The other one, no, I don't think so. For example, here, white took on c5 here, and black took on c5 back and just like expected that, and basically the game in the draw. But there's c3, of course, right? Once you're open-minded and you realize that there's a move like this, then you're like, okay. But the point is, again, the black player did not see it, yeah, because they thought, well, they just assumed this is the only move, right? This is automatic. Again, another reason of like not playing automatic moves. After this, knight takes c5. Um, and of course, who can forget the very famous example from Carlsen against Anand, right? Where Carlsen was pressing, and then there was King d2, the epic, you know, mess up, and then, you know, knight takes e5 was not played, and black ended up losing. But in fact, black wins by having two in-between moves in a row, and of course, black easily wins, right? Not easily wins, I mean, but yeah, that could have like turned around the whole match, right? So quite a shocking turnaround in that game. Um, all right, we're gonna move on to positions that are a little. Now this one, if we go back, yeah, this one is definitely harder. So how should white play here and why? And again, don't just put one move, but try to give the full answer here. But you have to try to see the last move in the sequence as well, right? That's pretty important. Yeah, there's at least a draw, yes. There's at least a draw. Well, if queen g8, there's king g8, right? That's the point. Wait, let's see. Also if white wants to draw, we can just play knight f7, right? Well, not I don't want to use the word just because Sam Shanklin doesn't like it, yeah, but if we want to make a draw, we can play knight f7 immediately, right? We don't need to go queen g8. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, so in this position, white played rook f7, but after queen c2, black was fine. So rook takes b7 is correct. It seems like it's only a draw. But white can win here. How? Rook f8, knight takes f8. We got to be careful. Very easy to miss backward knight moves. Guys, that's why don't just copy each other. Try to think for yourself. So yeah, rook f8 does not work because of knight takes f8. Knight f7, bishop h6, the problem is the queen's hanging. So queen b1 threatened the queen, right? So that's important. But queen takes h5, I think, was mentioned, but then I'm not so sure after this and queen h7. Knight f5 is... Yeah, queen h5 is still decent, but okay, queen h7. Yeah, queen h7, black's still in the game. So yeah, we need to play knight f5. And after that, it's game over. Something like this and then this. All right. The next position is Korbov against Kramer. All right, now the next for a few ones again will be kind of easy, and then they get slowly but surely they'll get harder. So, all right, white to play this one. This one I expect we'll get through pretty quickly. Yes, of course it's queen b1, and then c takes d5. Yes. Okay. Okay, the next one a little harder. By the way, if you think you know the answer, if you've seen it before, please type in private chat. If you have seen it before and you just remember, type in private chat, please. But and again, please don't just give one move answer. Give the whole answer. No, there is. One student did type to me privately. Yeah, there is. I see people are typing privately. Yeah, so there is. Yeah, so this one is knight h4. This one is, of course, knight h4. And the point is that we have a double threat. And then at this, we have bishop c5 first, right? Again, not difficult. But again, they'll get more difficult. All right, this one, like Nizhnik overlooked it against Larson, right? And then he lost the game. Larson was like a much weaker player. Like Larson was like I think. This one, okay. Yeah, jacks were correct. Yeah, so this one is black to play. No, this was Larson, not Larsen. Different Larson. This one's black to move. This was actually missed by MVL. Now, this was a rapid tournament. This was during the pandemic, 2020, online tournament. But it was missed. Maxime Rocher-Legrave, yeah. Again, don't just give one move. Give the whole answer. Preferably, yeah, get into the habit of putting the whole answer. Yeah, even if you think you remember it, like just give the whole answer. Get into the habit of writing the full. Yeah, so this one is h3. This one's h3. And if you take, bishop takes f4, and then queen takes h3, right? So that's the point. Did not consider the candidate move. Yeah, maybe did not consider this in conjunction with this, right? I don't know, but he played this and then or something, and he ended up drawing the game. So maybe trusted Hikaru that Hikaru wouldn't miss it. All right, this is white to move. What should we do here? Steve is funny. Yeah, actually, I've noticed that Sharash, yeah, his MVL, has been, spoiling winning positions all the time in this tournament. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's playing like me. I'm used to doing that. Uh, yeah. Yeah, again, this one is fairly easy. Bishop takes and then knight d5. And then if rook c1, of course, we can still go here. All right, this is black to play. Um, what should we do? Again, you have to give the full answer. Okay, so these are starting to get a little harder, so at least people are giving different answers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, Jack, you're correct. Yeah. Let's give you guys 1 more minute. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think people are getting it now, so yeah, we'll go over. Yeah, so rook c1 is correct, of course. This is of course gonna lead to mate, which I think people saw. So rook c1 is the most obvious in between move, but still, you have to be careful here because people are saying knight takes d6, but then e takes d6, or even rook h5, I think, and this is not winning. However, we have knight g3, a very important move, knight g3, and then after this, now we can take. Because now there's no knight takes f5 with mate, right? Because we simply take back. And then after we take here, we play f takes here, and then this is completely winning. Two passed pawns on both sides, right? And then this is winning. What if knight takes f5? Wait, the question. Oh, here knight takes f5. Apparently that doesn't work. For two reasons. One is king c1, and then knight takes f7, right? Both of them are possible. So we actually need to play e takes f5. Yeah. So yeah, this one is a little tougher, right? The rook c1, I think almost everyone found that, but after that, you have to kind of have a choice, right? So now they're getting a little harder, or which is good. All right, this one is black to play. Wait, sorry, no, uh, yeah, well, sorry, white to play, white to play. So how should we play here? It's a little tricky because here now we're starting to get to the point where we have to also anticipate our opponents. Um, um, opponents' resources as well, right? Including like their in between moves. Okay, so Jack is correct. Yeah, do you want to also give why the other alternative is not? You can also type that in. Why the alternative is not working. It's white to move. So, but basically, we have two main candidate moves, right? I think we can kind of narrow it down. It's going to either be rook b7 or rook c5 and then rook c7. So, which one do we play? Yes, so Jack is correct. Yeah. Which one do we play and why? This is a pretty important difference. All right. Give you one more minute. Okay. Okay, I think people are starting to get the point. Yeah, so basically for this one, you have to play rook c5. The problem with rook b7 is that there is it seems like rook b7 is a draw because white's threatening there. And if you go here, I can queen, and then now white even wins, right? But the point is that you first give this check. Very important check, right? And that disturbs white's position, right? If they take, now you take. And this is what happened in the game, right? And then if king e2, you still take, right? So you mess up white's king's position with an in-between move, and black wins here, right? So once you see this idea by your opponent that after rook b7 there's rook f3, then you have to look for other resources, and then you can go here first check. And if you go king b3, I can go check back. And the difference is now of king a3, I can go to b7 now. And now I don't think this works, yeah, because here, king e2. Yeah, like now takes, queen, check. Right, still white's okay. Rook b3, yes, but how rook b3, I queen, right? The thing is still alive, the pawn. So so basically after this, yeah, we go rook c yeah, and then here we go rook c7, and again we go king e2, and yeah, white can make a draw here. Okay, the next one is white to move. Uh, what should white play here? Yes, that's correct. Jack has it. Yeah. Okay, now people are getting it. Yeah. So I actually did not know what IO meant. Well, at least not here. Yeah, at least not in this language. Uh, um, so I guess I learned something new here. Um, um, okay, so d5. The point is that after this, this knight before, um, because here white is winning. So that's the big point. Yeah, and then 95, then you go 96 and you get a better version of this 96. Whereas if you play 96 immediately, then there's f4 is the point. So that's the big idea. We prevent f4. That's the point. Okay, the next one is black to play. And we're trying to hold the draw here. How do we hold the draw? No, with black we want to draw for sure here. Unless you find some magical way to win here. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, so this is knight takes e3, queen e3. The first two moves are pretty obvious, right? But the point is that here we need to play king h5. That's very important. We need to play king h5, and here it's we hold the draw. Queen takes g5 also looks like it's hold the draw. However, it's very easy to miss this very nasty in-between move. Now, what's incredible about this pawn endgame is that even when you have a winning pawn endgame, you still have to be very careful till the very, very end. Because in this game, actually, black messed it up. King here, then they played there, and okay, c4 is good. Then c5. Yeah, white messed it up, yeah. Here, um, king here, king d6, king takes, king here. And this is where white messed it up. How should white win here? Yeah, the easiest, of course, is b3, yeah? Yeah, well, actually, it's the only way. Like, king a6 also does not work. Because after this, you're still stuck. Um, and b4 it also doesn't work because of here, here, and king b3. That's what happened in the game. So yeah, you have to be careful till then, and that's why you have to like fight till the very end, right? Even if you kind of mess up, you think you're losing, you have to like look for chances at the end, yeah, because people do stumble at the very end, right? B3 is of course fairly simple. Um, now just C6 only now B4, B5. And after this, here, here, king here, and white wins. Okay. Uh, um, okay, the next one is black to play. Um, black to play. What should we do here? Black to play. What should we do here? Yeah. Yeah, so here again, important to flick in the in-between move. You have to first play this. Seems counterintuitive because we're getting rid of their double pawns. However, yeah, we must do that. And only now. Because now we can go king e6, king d5, and we can draw this pawn endgame by playing a6 at the very end. However, if we play instead g3 first, then the problem is that here white can play this move c6. And the difference is that in this line, king here, 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 if you ever play a6, I can take, and now I have b5, right? So you needed to exchange the pawns first, because now you can never get rid of their fast pawn. And we lose the game. The game can proceed something like this, and then a6 and yeah, this. Barge pose GM, uh, very strong GM. Um, okay. This position is white to move. I'll give you guys again two candidate moves. Queen takes e6 or queen g4. Which one would you play and why? Yes, this one's tough. Um, yeah, so the answer is it's better to go queen g4. But it's because yeah, after queen here you can play rook c2, and after g6 here, rook queen here, and rook d1. So this is all good. Now it seems like maybe you can go here and knight g7. It seems that way, right? But it turns out you can't, because after knight takes c1, if you play here, there's in between. Right? That's the point. And this position is bad because the problem is also you can't go here. Because yeah, there's like always in between moves. So you see, in between moves are kind of hard. They're easier to spot, on move one, although sometimes also people miss them, right? Because we often look at checks, captures, threats. But within variations, they become like much harder to find, as you could see. Okay, this one is white to move. What should we do? Again, the first move might not be super hard, but we sort of need to we need to see the whole thing, yeah? Otherwise, it doesn't work. So I think from what I could see, okay, I think some people, okay, so I think I see some people have found, um, so I think some people are saying rook c5. Rook c5, I think is not supposed to work because king f4. And then it looks like it's mate, but it's actually not mate because this h3 idea opens up king g3, right? Which is easy to miss. The correct idea is rook c2. The most natural move, of course, is just to play rook c2. But of course, it's not. You don't say just. Yeah, you have to calculate. Rook here. Well, in Backhouse, everything would win here with white, of course, yeah. Bishop f1. Rook takes f1. King of g2. But then you have to still calculate knight d4, right? Because otherwise, if here, then king f2. And white's winning. But there's still knight d4. And then finally, at the very end, there's rook c5. And if you see it all the way through, then you get full credit for this. Okay. This one we'll skip, actually. Okay, this one. Black to play. That previous one was like a little shady position. It was a little bit not, you know, we're gonna just skip that one. Okay. In fact, I'm gonna get rid of it just completely. Actually, I'll do it later. Yeah, just gonna state. Yeah, do it here. Rambaldi and this one is actually, I think, a little easier than the previous ones, maybe. Yeah, okay. I think people got it pretty quickly. Yeah. We play here and then we play h3. Right, and then we take on f2. We don't do this immediately because after this, there's bishop takes e3. So we have to first incorporate this and then this. And then it's a pretty simple win. King takes here. The rook's attacked, and then yeah, we have this stuff. All right. The next position is the next one is this one. It's black to play. Rook endgame. Okay, this is going to be a bit torture, I feel. All right, so what should black play here? What do you think? Yeah, I think we're trying to draw, of course. I don't think there's the world where white wins. So it's black to move. Okay, I see. Yeah, now we're getting to the point that's getting very hard. Uh, yeah, so the only way to actually make a draw here is you start with rook c3. Because if you start with king g4, that's what happened in the game. Even GM did not find it. And then pawns just promote, yeah? And then you can easily stop the checks with like rook g1. But the point you have with rook c3 first is that after this, you can't advance. You committed c6, and the pawns can't advance as easily. Because after this, rook takes c6, right? So you sort of induce c6, you kind of force it, and then only you go king g4. Very, very advanced problem. Very advanced, like, example of in-between move. And after something like this, still black can't make progress, right? Because of king g3, king g4, and then if you try this, I'm just gonna keep checking you. Pretty tough. Definitely pretty tough. All right. Yeah, I think there's it's pretty complicated, yeah. This is Grishuk against Dominguez, another very tough endgame. I think it's a blocks move, right? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's blocks move. Um, so what should we play here? Yeah, so this is rook f4. Rook h7 right away was played, which messes up because then the black king gets cut off, right? And then white could make a draw. But if we first incorporate this check, then this is winning. Because now the king can come here, and then king can come here. This is actually very tricky. The king has to go to e2, and then the king comes around, and here black wins the game. And okay, the last one, it's black to play. This was also not found. Yeah, rook endgames are very difficult. All right. And this is oh, hmm. Yeah, knight c2, queen f8, yeah. But actually, even rook b6, knight a3, it's like not so clear. Yeah, so here in the game, black played, first of all, played bishop f5, and they lost after rook b3. Takes here, and then they eventually lost. Bishop a2 Queen a2 is the problem, right? So if you go Queen a6 immediately, it's like trying to pin. They go Rook c3. Doesn't work. So we first have to go here. The Rook went to b2 and then Queen a6. And this would have given black an advantage because you're creating a pin, you preserve your passed pawn. And then after this, you have also a takes b4, another in-between move. So you have to play a couple of in-between moves and then you get an advantage. But instead, that was missed and white won the game. So yeah, actually, I had even like one more example prepared just in case, but yeah, actually, that was already a little bit past time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed uh the class today. Maybe next class that I'll do here, I'll show that, you know, that example as a, and then we'll jump into some other stuff. But I'll see you all in a few weeks. Happy late, good luck in your tournaments, whoever's playing over the Labor Day. All right, bye-bye.